Are you feeling under pressure and that there isn't much in your control? You're in good company. And the one thing we can control is being adaptable by learning and applying what we know. Welcome to Women Leaders on the Move, a HerCsuite radio podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Benamou, and every week I bring you inspirational stories and ideas to help you in the second half of your career and maybe a little bit before. I'm also the founder of HerCsuite, where we are building what's next for women on boards, entrepreneurs, and in portfolio careers while infusing AI into everything we do. I'm also the co-author of the best-selling book, Power of What's Next, Bold Moves by Design, an anthology of amazing stories of women over 50 creating their own story of limitless possibilities and their journey along the way. Right now, we're at a crossroads moment, and this is an opportunity for us to stay ahead of the speed of change. Let's dive in. Have you ever noticed that sometimes ideas start and it can take a while before they're acted upon or realized? Sometimes we get messages in bits and pieces and they start and stop, and suddenly we're not sure, but we keep going forward and we might be going zigzagging in the wrong direction until that moment when we get clarity and inspiration to know exactly the direction we're meant to go in. And from that crossroad, you have a clear vision of which path to take. And when that happens and you realize, why did I make things so hard? I started thinking about this recently. I've been working all year on self discovery as well as creating new things to help women in the second half of our careers. And I decided to take my own philosophy to heart and do what I do for others. And I started listening, observing, connecting the dots, and then making an action plan. I have been thinking about being an entrepreneur since 2019, and those ideas of starting and stopping had come to me. And faced with my own health situation of symptom dismissal and pain minimization, I wasn't able to get a hysterectomy for months in 2019. And I've talked about it in my book and also all the things that I had to go through to come out on the other side. And at that time, I was really certain I was going to launch a women's health company. I had a business plan, I was having meetings and talking about funding, and then career happened. I'm sure you can relate to this. I was on a fast track and I was very successful that year. It was one of my best years. And things were taking a little longer than expected with this healthcare idea for women's health. And by the time I was ready, the pandemic happened. Women's health took a back burner. And so the idea was paused. And instead, I realized, how can I make the most impact right now? And that's when her C suite felt like it was the right time. I've been running on these two paths all this time, one for women's health and working through really serious health condition of my daughter, who was bedridden for 3.5 years and had serious symptom dismissal and minimization. Happy to say that she is much better today, but I was weighed down by that as a caregiver and a mom and worrying about that. And so the idea of women's health never left me these last 6 years. I infused it into programs we were doing with her C suite. I had a health equity council with some of the founding members, and then finally landed on a nonprofit, Her HEALTHX. And I had this tandem life of women's health and women's leadership. During my year of exploration this year, I started to get more and more curious, then passionate about how AI has the potential to solve big challenges like women's health and leadership for women. I started infusing all these ideas of AI into every HerCsuite mastermind and course, learning as much as I could. And that crossroads was really tugging at me, and I couldn't figure out how can I make a stronger bond between these two worlds that I was living in. One was women's health, and one was women's leadership. And thanks to deep work that we did, it guided my women's health idea with my board on Her Health X to think differently. And the board took those ideas and really started thinking big, infusing AI at the center of our solution. And instead of looking at the outcome of symptom minimization, we realized we could really address why it was happening in the first place. And AI would really be a game changer. Have you had that feeling of knowing when something comes together and it all makes sense? When you gain that clarity, you feel like there's no limit to what you can create as long as you keep being curious and learning. I realized through that experience that women need AI in our lives, not just segmented and siloed for our health in one place and for leadership in another, but we need to be ahead of the curve because we need to be ahead of the speed of change, which is every moment of every day. We are in an unprecedented time of AI. I've become obsessed with discovery and taking it all in as much as I can, as fast as I can, from taking courses, reading at least 5 to 7 different daily updates, listening to podcasts every day, attending events in person and virtually, even trying to understand how to have fun with it. I've really had a lot of fun actually recently with AI and going beyond the prompts to discover what are the possibilities. And I realized in doing this that the path that we were taking with my board and the direction of Her Health X really was in tandem and not so separate from her C suite. And it all started to come together. I realized at that moment, after playing around with AI and trying out different things, that both could really be at the forefront of creating a massive impact. And the why is at the center, helping make better health outcomes for women and helping women leaders step into the greatest wealth transfer in our lives in 2030 because we are ready with being fluent in AI. As Simon Sinek says, focus on the why first. And once I did that, the outcome is clear. We can be in the driver's seat once we know our why. And for my nonprofit, instead of focusing on the result, what happens when things like women waiting 16 to 29 minutes longer than men in the ER while they're having a heart attack, we decided to focus on the why and solve the care communication gap that was happening between patients and healthcare teams and helping both sides to come together because both sides want to. The why is now clear, and we're embarking on an incredibly exciting venture using Agentic AI. And there's more to come. And the details are not available yet, but they will be revealed soon. And I can't wait to share them with you. The why for her C suite spun out the most exciting thing I've launched this year, which is Women Leaders on the Move AI. I realized that when we come into that control I talked about earlier in 2030, we have to be ready. What happens if we're not? And if you take a look at the speed of AI in the last 3 years and who's been developing it, who's getting the $500 billion valuation, it's not women at the top. There's very few big women companies out there that are ahead of the curve. we are not at the forefront right now. And this is a time that we can be manifesting and become multipliers once we increase our AI fluency. If you're feeling at a crossroads, maybe because of the uncertainty around us or because you just can't keep doing the same thing any longer, there is no better time for you to stop doing things the way you've been doing them and start doing them in a different way. Here are three ideas of how you can apply AI and get better clarity if you're at a crossroads moment, if you're trying to bring your two worlds together and you can't figure out how to do one thing and the other, and you just want to put the pieces together. The first thing is to really start and understand yourself. To understand yourself, there's something that I learned this year only recently called human design. I had never explored human design. And once I did, everything became clear about who I am, why I think the way I do, why I act in certain situations the way I do, and why and who I attract to my world. I discovered this with Michelle Peacock, who is a human design expert. She's the founder of My Vibe. And after she shared with me my own human design chart, and it's pretty complex, I'm not going to tell you otherwise. But once you find out the results, I thought we have to bring this into her C suite. And in our course, Next Chapter by Design, we are using human design. We just had it this week. Our participants received their chart, and it was eye opening for each of us to understand how we see the world and what we can do with AI prompts once we know our chart to make decisions and understand what board type is right for us or what kind of role we should take in corporate or how can we grow our business. It all became clear. And I will have Michelle Peacock's link for human design in the show notes because I want you to see what I'm talking about. Number two is creating your own board of advisors. Years ago, when I left a company and I was very involved with the Healthcare Business Women's Association, and I was going to open up a big office here in Chicago for a company. And I created my own in person board of advisors, and I had these amazing women come to my house. And I am proud to say I'm still friends with all of them. They came to my house and we sat down and created a plan of what I needed, what resources, and how I was going to get this done. Fast forward to today, now you can create your own AI advisory with famous people to guide you. And we've talked about it previously on this show. And you can pick someone like someone from Shark Tank. You could find a famous entrepreneur like Sarah Blakely or a spiritual guide or combine all three. Create your board with ChatGPT and then ask for advice and guidance. And the key is to interact with one question at a time and tell it not to ask another question until you've answered the first question. You might have a 20-minute conversation, but when you're done, you will have clarity and be able to create so many amazing things, whether you're creating a presentation or a pitch deck, or you're creating a new resume, or anything that you have in your world that you're trying to create. Once you do this, you will have the best guidance from really experienced people because those people are well known and ChatGPT can search and give you real life examples from their personas. The third thing is we all have to be curious learners. This week, LinkedIn hosted on National AI Day and they hosted an event and I was so excited to go to it. It was really invigorating to hear their view on the workplace, on hiring, on LinkedIn, which is where I am all the time. And they announced Vibe Working. It was concurrent with the announcement from Microsoft, since Microsoft owns LinkedIn. this idea of vibe working. If you use Microsoft products, I'm sure you saw the release. And one of the speakers, Karen Kimbrough, shared adaptability is the new currency. And with adaptability comes understanding, and you have to be a curious learner. They shared that experience isn't as important as being open and understanding the world around us. And at that LinkedIn Edge AI program, it really all started to come together. We must be flexible and apply what we learn and be ready to pivot. So, wherever you are on your journey of learning and discovery, your board of directors are going to guide you. Your understanding of who you are, you can put that into ChatGPT and have it guide you. We have so many tools at our fingertips. It can feel overwhelming sometimes, I gotta admit. And when something's not working, the beautiful thing is that you can learn something different. And I'll tell you that if you're looking to get on a board, you need to be fluent with AI. If you're looking to get to the C suite, you need to be able to help your team use AI as a tool. You need to be able to adapt and be nimble. Right now, you might be feeling a little overwhelmed, just getting through the day and feeling discouraged. And you might be saying to yourself, adding one more thing on my plate, I can't even imagine learning more than I already have to do at work. I'm using AI the way I'm being asked to, but I don't have time to do anything more. The thing is, what I'm sharing with you will make it better. And there's only one way to the other side. And it is through this wonderful moment of incredible opportunity. Bringing all of this together, once I realized that I could bring my two worlds together with AI and use it together in different ways, but my worlds didn't feel so separate, everything felt lighter. When I talk to people, they say, "You have a glow about you. You seem radiant." I feel joyful at a time when things are really dark. Even on a bad day, I still have hope because I see a future where women are having the health outcomes that they deserve because they are able to navigate their care better. They're living longer and healthier lives. And the ripple impact on their families and the workplace and communities is massive. I envision the greatest wealth transfer ever happening and women being at the front of the curve, directing it, not waiting to receive it. I believe in the possibilities when we control what we can do and release what no longer is serving us. I have one question for you. How fired up are you to do something bigger than you ever dreamed? If you're nodding your head yes, I can't wait for you to do it. And I'd love to hear what you're doing now with AI. I'd love to know if you're feeling stuck, how you're getting unstuck. Send me a message on LinkedIn or reach out to me in the email that's in the show notes. Let's connect. Together, we can do big things if we open ourselves up to learning, being adaptable, and change how we go about it to achieve the ultimate transformation for ourselves and everyone around us. Thank you for spending your time with me today. I wanted to share this journey with you because if you're like me, you needed to hear something positive and know there are others on a journey not too dissimilar to yours. To quote one of the authors, Wendy Brown, from Power of What's Next, Bold Moves by Design, just take one step forward. Remember, you got this. I would be so honored if on October 14th, which is coming after this show releases, you join us and get your own copy of the hardcover book. There is something so magical holding a book in real life. And let me tell you, it's my favorite color. Lots of pink in that book. And if you want to learn more about AI and be in the driver's seat, check the link in the show notes. Keep shining your light bright. The world needs you.